Is Southern American English disappearing? Do you vacation at the beach or at the shore? Is this cake covered in frosting or icing? Is this apple dipped in caramel or caramel? Your answer reflects the specific dialect of American English that you speak. A dialect is simply a variety of language. Usually defined geographically, different dialects of the same language may share some features in common, but vary in terms of linguistic structure such as phonology, morphology, syntax, and vocabulary. American English has many dialects. Some experts estimate that there may be 24 or more, but most agree that there are at least 8, including coastal and mountain, southern, upper Midwestern, New England, and Great Lakes. These dialects obviously share many of the same features, but have very distinct vowel sounds, word choices, and other linguistic markers. Many people believe that regional variation in the United States is disappearing thanks to increased globalism, business communication, influence of TV, and the ease of communication with speakers of other dialects through technological innovation. It would make sense in some ways for dialects to become more homogenized since dialect can make communication more difficult. However, research reveals that American regional dialects are actually becoming more pronounced. But where did these regional differences come from, and will they continue to resist shaping one language? In the years before the American Revolution, all of the dialects of British English that were spoken began to merge in the colonies into a distinctly American variety of English. In the colonies, migration was common, and speakers of various dialects came into contact with one another more frequently than they had at home. Settlers needed to be able to conduct business, make friends, get married, and otherwise interact with each other, and as a result, differences in their speech patterns began to mix and level and form a common speech that became a new primary dialect. Word choices and borrowing from others' accents became so liberal that there soon was one American language. However, as pressures of founding a new nation began to wear off, regional dialects began to reappear. Traditional divisions reflect settlement patterns of colonial immigrants. The continental U.S. was settled in 3 waves. People from southwest England settled in Virginia and the Carolinas, Puritans settled in New England, and the Scots-Irish came to Philadelphia. Settlers then moved horizontally across the country, giving rise to the 3 main dialect areas, the South, the North, and the Midlands. The 4th area on the map, the West, contains a mixture of features imported from the other 3. After the Civil War, there was a great migration of settlers from all of the dialect regions into the West, and this resulted in a leveling of dialect features and the creation of a general American dialect. People who seem to have no accent are actually speaking with this leveled out form of Mid-American English. Now this homogenized American English is showing signs of increasing dialect features. At the same time, North and Southern English are moving further apart. For example, what do you call this? West and East Coasters call it soda, people in the Middle America call it pop, and Southerners generally refer to it as Coke. TV ads and shows in general employ soda, but this has had no effect as of yet on regional variations. The common myth is that American English is becoming homogenized so that all Americans will soon sound the same, and that this is caused by the presence and influence of the media. However, although TV shows have clearly contributed words and catchphrases to pop culture, media influence is greatly exaggerated because people do not model their everyday speech after media personalities. Rather, people want to sound like their friends, their neighbors, not like the people they hear on TV. Commonplace conversation, interpersonal interaction, and social networks are the venues through which language change takes place and how dialects are transmitted and solidified. People learn to speak from their parents and their peers. They grow up learning the language of a specific dialect and then use that dialect at school, at work, and at play, and are much more likely to continue speaking that way. In fact, regional American dialects are becoming more pronounced, not less. The vowel sounds in the North are undergoing a sea change, and Southern speakers are rotating their vowels in a different way. More and more Northerners are moving into the Sun Belt, and you might expect that the 2 groups' dialects would mingle and begin to level. Actually, the opposite is true. As more transplants move into the South, native residents are determined to assert their Southern identity to distinguish themselves from outsiders, and one of the main ways they do this is through dialect adherence and the symbolic use of language. Many Southerners view their dialect as a strong marker of regional identity and a source of cultural pride. These feelings help preserve certain dialect features even in the face of massive linguistic pressure from the outside. Southern American English, rather than disappearing, is becoming more firmly entrenched, more linguistically different, and more likely to be spoken by native Southerners than ever before. It's a way of proving that you're Southern. In other words, It's safe to expect that whether you call this TPing, toilet papering, or rolling, your neighbors did the same and your kids probably will also.